The Princess Bride is a movie that, after you see it, you have a need to learn how to fence. And the framing for this movie is so bizarre, with the grandfather reading to his grandson. Usually, a framing device like that would only happen at the beginning and the end of the movie, but they keep stopping the action. Yet we love them anyways because we, the viewers, are the grandson. It's like one of my favorite films, The Threepenny Opera, where the songs were written to disrupt the plot and annoy the audience, yet people loved the musical numbers so much that the soundtrack record sold phenomenally well. The grandson is so our inner monologue that watching him interrupt makes us more invested in the story. And by the way, this is a movie that's tough to adequately explain, so instead of trying, I'm gonna ask you to go watch it for yourself before you watch here any further. Everyone left good to go? Okay, awesome. Now, while I seriously considered making a theory about Buttercup being a horse, because for real now, Westley met her in a stable, her name's Buttercup, renamed later to Princess Buttercup. Really, I think I could make it work. But instead, I decided for short, simple, and fun. Side note for the booktivists in the audience, I'm aware there's a book for The Princess Bride, and I actually picked it up and hope to make a video on it later. But in general, books and movies are alternate universes, and they have to be judged and theorized on as two separate works. So, instead of freaking out that I'm not referencing book facts here, keep in mind that it's the screenwriter and director's job to make the film a self-contained universe, because reading the book is not a prereq for watching the film. So yeah, just don't lose your mind in the comments section like the Miss Peregrine booktivists. That's all I'm asking here. So going back to that weird focus on the grandfather and grandson, which is completely unnecessary for the plot, there has to be a significant reason as to why they're there. I mean, you don't pay out to hire Columbo and the Wonder Years kid if you don't have a real purpose for them. And I noticed that the grandson, and that's not me being too lazy to look up his name, he's literally titled The Grandson in the credits, but the grandson comments that the book his grandfather has is really old, and Grandpa admits that his father used to read that book to him as a kid, and Gramps also read it to his son, meaning it's probably a safe bet that this old book has been passed down in that family since it was a new book. But what makes me curious, how is a book that is this engaging and enjoyable not a well-known classic novel? Instead, it's a rare, old, forgotten book. So what if the story isn't a book as much as it is a personal diary? Well, maybe that's not the right term. More like the writings of a child who's grown up listening to his parents describe how they met and eventually got married. Anyone who's heard a dad story knows that they tend to grow into big fish with age. For instance, if a squirrel jumped on your coat and your dad shooed it away, 10 years later that squirrel might become a bear that your father had to wrestle bare-handed and got mauled in order to save your life. I mean, doesn't 90% of The Princess Bride play out like it's overly exaggerated? And perhaps as an anniversary present, their child turned that story into a fantastic book that was passed down through the ages until it reached the grandfather in the film. Yeah, that's a really quick theory. So let's do another mini theory. It's interesting to me that Westley vanishes for years and never contacts Buttercup, yet he knows the exact moment when she was kidnapped, as his boat is just behind the captors. My guess? Since Westley was operating under the guise of the dread Captain Roberts, and no one knew his true identity, that Westley was the first person that Prince Humperdinck hired to kill Buttercup, but Westley obviously refused. He wasn't ready to reveal himself to Buttercup yet, but he was still pretty salty that she was willing to marry someone else. I mean, according to Westley, being dead isn't even a good enough excuse for Buttercup to marry someone else. So that's when the lesser criminal Vicini was hired to do the job, and he probably blabbed about it in some cloak and dagger criminal bar so that the information got back to Westley. Being aware that Humperdinck was about to kill Buttercup, Westley just bided his time and stalked Vicini until he made his move. That's why someone who's a pirate by trade knew how to best defeat three very diverse foes. That's why Westley fights Inigo Montoya with his left hand, because he already knew that Inigo was a good man and he didn't want to hurt him. That's also why Westley had such a good strategy to chokehold Fezzik as a way to knock him out. And obviously, that's why Westley had a vial of iocane powder and was smart enough to build up a tolerance to that one specific poison. It's all because Westley studied his adversaries before they ever met. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I guess get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.